everybody, welcome back to the Bridge School Diary. Today we are celebrating Australia Day, and what is a better way to celebrate it than with our favorite Aussies, Stephen and Rebecca. Hello.
Hi.
G'day.
How are you?
Very good.
Very good. Enjoying the cool Catania weather at the moment.
Great. What's the weather like back in Australia now?
Back home it's in summertime, and so particularly in our city it's very hot at the moment. It might be about 35 to 37 degrees Celsius at the moment. And it's the humidity that also is intense. It feels a lot hotter than it actually is due to the humidity.
So before we speak about Australia Day, let's speak about Australia in general. What's your favorite place, Rebecca, in Australia? Your favorite city?
I quite like Sydney because Sydney has a lot of our famous landmarks. So our Sydney Harbour Bridge and Opera House. And Sydney also has some really nice beaches. So we have like Bondi Beach. I'm sure everyone's seen the TV show with the lifeguards rescuing everyone. So Sydney's a nice city.
And yours, Stephen?
Myself, somewhere more local, off the coast of our hometown, Townsville, there's a small tropical island called Magnetic Island. It's about a 20-minute ferry boat ride away.
Magnetic Island.
Yes, Magnetic Island.
Why is it called Magnetic Island?
Well, it's called Magnetic Island because when Captain James Cook was discovering or going around discovering new lands, he thought that the compass on his boat was breaking or was broken, and he thought it was because the island off to his right had a magnetic field that was interacting or causing his compass to not work properly. So he called the island Magnetic Island based on that. He later found out that was wrong. The island has no magnetic field. That was wrong. But the name has stayed until today. We call it Magnetic Island.
Interesting. Let's speak about nature. So Australia is famous for its nature. What's your favorite animal? Or have you seen any animals, particular animals?
Yeah, I like a wallaby, which is similar to a kangaroo, except it's much smaller. So they may be about this big, look the exact same as a kangaroo, but they're a lot more friendly. Yeah, so it's common on Magnetic Island. Young kids will go up and feed the wallabies.
We're fortunate. We have a lot of nice wildlife that we see often. I particularly like seeing every now and then you see a koala bear, which is a small bear-looking thing that you'll see up the top of a tree sometimes when you are going on a bushwalk. But they're very small, very cute, very cuddly, and you also see them in zoos as well. Sometimes you can hold them on your shoulder and pat them.
People also say that animals are quite dangerous in Australia. Is it true?
Yes, it's true. Not something that you're very worried about in a big city, but if you're going into nature, like into the bush, you're very aware of snakes and spiders and things, do you think?
Yeah, only if you're doing an activity that takes you out into the rural, wild forest, that sort of thing. But if you're at home, walking through the parks or walking down your street, there's nothing to be worried about.
And what about food? Tell us about some typical food in Australia.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone knows Vegemite.
I don't think so. What is it?
It's like a spread, but a lot of people will make the mistake is they'll grab a spoon and eat it as if it's Nutella, but it's quite bitter. So how we would have it is on bread or toast with butter and only a small amount of Vegemite. So the mistake people make is they often overdo it. Yeah. It's quite bitter.
I don't like it. For me, it's much too bitter. I don't enjoy Vegemite, but it's very famous, very popular, definitely.
And what's your favorite dish?
Probably for me, it's the desserts. I like pavlova or lamington. They're both very typical, famous Australian desserts. Pavlova is whipped egg whites, so a meringue filled with cream and then fruit on top. And a lamington is a sponge cake that's dipped in chocolate and then coconut pieces. So a soft sponge cake. That's also very nice.
And how do you celebrate Australia Day?
It's a public holiday, so we don't go to work.
Mm-mm.
And usually people will have their friends and family over for a barbecue and swim in a pool or go to the beach.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone likes coming together. Usually, enjoy the outdoors. So you'll go to a park, go to the beach. Usually, you play sports. A lot of cricket is played. I don't think they have cricket in Italy, but in some other countries they do. Australia Day means having a barbecue with your friends, with your mates, maybe having a beer if you're old enough, and then playing sports, going for a swim. That's a typical
And
Australian
does
day.
everybody celebrate Australia Day?
Look, most people do, but some Australians not so much. Some people believe it's very controversial because it also represents the day that British fleets arrived to Australia and colonised Australia. So to many Australians, it's also can be a sad moment that,
For our Indigenous Australians.
the Indigenous Australians feel like it maybe doesn't represent their history as much. So that day can be controversial to some people as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.